Hey, Pat, are you done editing the podcast? Pat?
I've played Eye in the Sky. Now you must edit the podcast.
Pat, that's not how Eye in the Sky works. I've been asked how Eye in the Sky works countless times, and its interactions are often misunderstood. So here I will attempt to do an exhaustive guide to how Eye in the Sky operates. Eye in the Sky is a reactive team tactics card that triggers when an enemy character targets a friendly character with an attack. Nick can spend 3 power to move the targeted character. If you leave the range of the attack, or line of sight of the attack is cancelled. If the attack only targeted one model, your opponent is given a new action. If you are playing the shield affiliation, the card will refresh in the cleanup phase. So in practice, Eye in the Sky is a way to protect your models by negating an opponent's attack. In this example, Winter Soldier is being attacked by Ultron. Ultron is using his Energy Blast. Nick pays 3 power and plays Eye in the Sky. Winter Soldier advances short, ending outside of range 4. Ultron's attack is cancelled and he is granted a new action. So how do I play Eye in the Sky in the most impactful way? The first hurdle to overcome is funding the card. Getting 3 power on Nick as soon as possible and keeping it there is a huge part of playing shield well. Ideally, Nick will get to make an attack against a model standing on the center line with the Fury Special. This will generate him 1 power, and along with the first 2 power phases, Fury should have the card available at the start of turn 2. In non-ideal circumstances, you can gain the power off of objectives, your grunts being damaged, via team tactics cards, or friendly models' superpowers. Okay, I've got the power. Please tell me how to play the card. As I've stated before, we are looking to protect models with the card. One way we can do this is by negating actions. Ideally, when an opponent targets one of our models and we play Eye in the Sky to move it to safety, they have no other target, and that attack action cannot just become another attack action into a different target. If we return to our example of Ultron attacking Winter Soldier, we will see that the next closest model, Hawkeye, is not in range of Ultron. This will force Ultron's next action to be a move action. He will either have to walk and attack, or if he has already spent his first action, just advance somewhere else. Another powerful way to use Eye in the Sky is to use it to protect key models. Sometimes in the game, specific models are more valuable than others. Maybe one model has activated and the other hasn't. Maybe one model is holding an extract, but the other isn't. In these cases, Eye in the Sky isn't negating actions, but can put your opponent's damage in places that is more beneficial to shield. The final way Eye in the Sky can be used to impact the game is to gain buffs or positional advantage. Sometimes you are attacked and you either cannot get out of range of the attack, or negating it will have minimal impact. But you can still use Eye to gain advantage. The most common example is getting into cover either by physically moving into it or by getting out of range too. Other examples include getting into martial artist or martial prowess range, setting up fast draw, or getting into bodyguard range. So what common mistakes do people make while playing Eye in the Sky? The most common is playing Eye at the first possible opportunity. Newer shield players try to just play Eye as much as possible just to gain value from it in the aggregate. But this is a mistake. Nick has a bunch of good ways to spend his power, and often the threat of Eye in the Sky on an important activation is stronger than just using it every round. When you play Eye in the Sky, and shield in general, it is important to play with intention, and that every action you take be done for a reason. The general interactions of Eye in the Sky. Spenders, or attacks that cost power to use, have an important interaction with Eye in the Sky. If we look at the timing chart, no, don't go anywhere, this is going to be brief. Eye in the Sky is played at step 2D, but the power for a spender is not paid until step 3. So if an opponent uses an attack that costs power, and you play Eye in the Sky to cancel it, the opponent never pays the cost of the attack. Spenders on a beam and area attacks function differently because you must pay for the attack before determining which models will be targeted. How this relates to Eye in the Sky is when a beam spender only targets one character. In this case, Eye in the Sky would hand the action back, but not refund the power cost, because it is paid before targeting. In stark contrast to spenders, are attacks with next attack modifiers. Examples of this are Warrior of Legend, Glaive's Edge, or multiple personalities. For this example, Moon Knight's multiple personalities triggers, and he rolls a hit giving him 2 extra dice on his next attack. He attacks Nick with his bow staff. We play Eye in the Sky, canceling the attack and granting Moon Knight an action. Moon Knight walks next to Nick and attacks him again, but does not gain the bonus dice from multiple personalities. This is because even though we canceled the attack before it resolved, the next attack was still made, so the buff falls off of the following attack. Beams and area attacks are another really excellent opportunity to get value out of Eye in the Sky. The line of Eye in the Sky that gives your opponent an action has a very specific rider on it. It does not give your opponent an action if the attack targeted multiple characters. So playing Eye and leaving a beam or area attack just gives them one less attack. In the case of beams, this can be even better since the range of the beam is literally the width of the template. So a move like this, where we don't leave range 4, but just shuffle out from under the template, will cancel the attack, allowing us to potentially use Eye in the Sky both to protect a model while setting it up to have a devastating activation. Stealth doesn't really interact with Eye in the Sky. Stealth prevents you from being targeted from outside of range 3. It does not reduce the range of the attack to 3. As a result, Eye in the Sky doesn't directly interact with stealth. Similarly, attacks that ignore line of sight can be stopped by leaving line of sight with Eye in the Sky. This works because Eye in the Sky says when it stops the attack. In this case, when they leave line of sight. This doesn't stop the opponent from targeting them with an attack again with their brand new action though. It is most relevant when someone uses a Team Tactics card that grants an attack, like Helios. Let's dive into some specific use cases for Eye in the Sky. Grunts cannot play Team Tactics cards, and cannot be chosen by the effects of allied Team Tactics cards. This language does not prevent Eye in the Sky, since it is a reaction to a character being targeted, not choosing a character to move, and Nick Fury is playing the card, not the Grunts, so you can protect Grunts with Eye in the Sky. Magneto is a strange one. At first glance, he seems like the classic example of a model you want to cancel the attack of with Eye in the Sky. But a good player will place his Magneto in range of multiple targets, and then he might get lucky and acquire enough power to throw a bunch of things at the model you saved with Eye in the Sky. Instead of just canceling the attack, I prefer to move out of range 2, ideally to a place where he can't pull me back in, like around the side of a building or behind my friends. This denies him his rerolls from reverse polarity, limiting his power generation, essentially making it much more likely that Magneto will have a bad activation. While we're talking about Brotherhood, let's discuss the big boy Juggernaut. Juggernaut has a rule called Unstoppable Momentum. The relevant part of this for us is that after he makes his first advance, his next attack has 3 extra dice. If you use Eye in the Sky to prevent the attack, Juggernaut may just use Nothing Stops the Juggernaut to slide up and punch you again. But there is an important interaction at play here. When we cancel the attack, Juggernaut has used up his 3 extra dice, because the bonus dice attack happened, even though we canceled it. This will wildly reduce the output coming out of Juggernaut. Hawkeye has a really cool interaction with Eye in the Sky that I've broken down before, and you can check out the interaction right up here. The other rider on Eye in the Sky's Action Refund is if it is this character's activation. This means that the card can be used to blow out powerful out-of-activation attacks. Common examples include Ronan's the Accuser, Got Your Back, or in this example, She-Hulk's Special Delivery. She-Hulk and Angela play Special Delivery, allowing Angela to pick up She-Hulk and drop her next to one of our models and punch them. But we are clever, so we play Eye in the Sky, knowing that it robs She-Hulk of the attack entirely. Tornado Claw is a beam and has the timing after all attacks generated by this attack have been resolved. How does this timing interact with Eye in the Sky? Oh boy, a tough one. When a beam or area attack uses language similar to after all the attacks are resolved, the condition will be considered satisfied if at least one of the attacks is completed. Here's an example where Nick and Winter Soldier are attacked by Logan's Tornado Claw. Logan attacks Winter Soldier first and kills him, then attacks Nick. Nick plays Eye in the Sky, canceling Logan's attack. Logan's beam has now resolved all attacks, and he is placed next to the model he targeted last, which would be Nick. Okay, so that's the power of Eye in the Sky, but what counters it? Well, there are quite a few interactions. As a shield player, you are not going to want to see these across the table. Let's talk about them so we can play around them. Mystique, Emma Frost, and Sleeper Agent are all cards that prevent you from using reactive Team Tactics cards while that character is activating. This is the hardest counter to Eye in the Sky, as it just stops it cold. The good news is that it is very unlikely that your opponents have more than one character with this type of effect. Try not to give them easy double taps, and take them off the board at the earliest opportunity. Rogue, and to a lesser extent, any character that can deny power. Earlier we talked about the difficulty in getting the power to play Eye in the Sky. Rogue's mutant absorption is able to just take Nick's power away, granting anyone playing her the ability to deny Eye in the Sky at will. This should be played around by staying out of Rogue's walk and absorb range, since if she needs to walk to you twice, your opponent has hopefully overextended her, and you'll be able to take her off the board. Charge is an ability that initially looks like it is blown out by Eye in the Sky, but when used properly can really prevent Eye from being played. While we were talking about Charge, any meaningful mobility superpower can be used in this way. The trick to playing Charge characters into Eye in the Sky is to pretend like the model does not have Charge. In our example, Killmonger walks within range of Agent Venom and attacks him. If we play Eye in the Sky here, Killmonger can just charge and make the attack anyway, wasting our Eye in the Sky for the turn. This can be made even better by starting an activation within range of the piece you want to remove with your charged character. Speaking of Killmonger, he has an especially annoying interaction with Eye in the Sky. Much like the interaction with Juggernaut, where even though the attack didn't fully resolve, the attack did happen, so anything that refers back to another attack would trigger. If we return to our example of Killmonger walking to our model and attacking it, we play Eye in the Sky, he charges the model. In this case, Killmonger's focused on the kill ability would trigger, as he has already made 2 attacks into the model, allowing him to roll 7 dice. We just played Eye in the Sky to make Killmonger's attack better. Oops. This also works with things like Ghost Spider's Spider Technique and Kraven the Hunter's Spear Thrust. Another way to completely deny Eye in the Sky is positioning such that there is no escape route for the shield model. The shorthand I use is that when using a range 3 attack into a small base model, you must be within range 1 to prevent the escape. And when going up against a medium or large base model, a range 3 attack can still stop them from escaping if you are in base contact. Hopefully this video has given you a better understanding of Eye in the Sky. If you have any questions about specific Eye in the Sky interactions, you can ask them in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to get to all of them. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon where you can get early videos, as well as some really cool status effects tokens. I'm Vincent Curkov, and don't forget that fun is a finite resource. Alright, first tactics card video done. Only took like 12 minutes. Feels pretty average. So at that rate, we'd be done in 57 hours.